So, Set 7.5 Revival is going to come with next patch, which is on Wednesday. So, I thought I would go over all the comps that are going to be seen. I've played a little bit of the Revival. I mean, I played Set 7.5 when it, was live. I will still go over the comps here. I'm not going to pretend I spend a lot of time that these are, my curated comps or anything. 95% of this is stuff that existed back then and that people are just playing. I feel like it'd be disingenuous to claim stuff like that, even though other people will they'll have their comp list and they'll claim it as their own. Yeah, all this stuff is just gonna come from the stats. I'm getting the stats from Meta TFT. That's the only place that I see that has stats, at least right now. When it goes live, there'll be other stats. Yeah, we're just gonna go through each of these comps. I'll talk about my experience with each of these, because at the very least, if stuff has changed in the Revival, I won't be able to talk about that, but at least I'm familiar with what the units do, how the comps generally play out, and yeah. So we're just gonna go top down. There might be some kind of repeats or some situational stuff. I'll try to cover that. I'll try to cover what everything does, so that if you are unfamiliar with Set 7.5, you'd still be able to play just fine. So yeah, we're just gonna start from the top. Guild Jayce. So this is a shapeshifter comp. Jayce is a bit of he's a bruiser. Sometimes he's played as a tank, but he's kind of similar to current Jayce, where he slams, they does AoE, and then I think this one has some tank value, right? He heals. Yeah, he heals, and he gains armor and magic resist. So yeah, the core is you have these shapeshifters, and then a couple of additional units. So the main mechanic of this set is dragons, which are these units that they take up 2 slots, but they're extra strong, so they have more health, they have more stats. In Set 7, you can only have 1 dragon, but in Set 7.5, you can have as many dragons as you want. Yeah, this is what the general board is. So Jayce is an AP bruiser. Yeah, so he's just gonna build similarly to current Jayce, except it's just gonna be magic damage. You should kind of treat it like that. He starts in the backline, and then when he first casts, he becomes melee, and then he stays melee. I think Gnar is the same way, right? Yeah, this Gnar is the same way, where he's gonna start. I think he starts 2 range. I don't know what it says, and then he transforms into a pure melee. And yeah, so you're just playing fast 8. You're looking for AP bruiser items for Jayce and Shyvana. They kind of want the same items. Shyvana is kind of similar in that she's gonna jump into the enemy team, and she's gonna channel a flamethrower ability over time. And you want her to build generally the same kinds of things as Jayce, so it's a bit of a item contest situation there, but it's fine. The rest of the units are to kind of round out your traits. I think I'm gonna put this in the planner so I can kind of talk about each of the things. Okay, so Shapeshifter is similar to how it is in most sets. You gain health after you transform. So yeah, that's the kind of what these units are for here. And obviously your 2 main carries are gonna be your Jayce and Shyvana. And then some other supporting units. Guild is similar to Divinicore or Heavenly. This is the original. Basically, you play these kind of flexibly, and they add their bonus. You have some of these units added for their guild bonus. Jayce's is 80 in AP. Twitch's attack speed, Sejuani's health, and Bard is mana per attack, similar to Rise in the current set. Let's see. So you have Dragon. In this case, Shyvana takes up 2 slots. So even though you have 8 units here, this is 9. You need to be level 9 for this board. And yeah, this is generally a stat check comp. You just have a lot of health, and you can kind of survive initial burst, and then you just clean up afterwards. So it's kind of this comp is good because it counters a lot of the other comps that we'll talk about. Guild Zippy Xayah. Okay, so this is, I believe this is just Zippy Reroll, right? Yeah. So this is another guild comp. So in Set 7, we had Guild Xayah, because I don't know what they did to Ragewing, but Ragewing was never really that good. But yeah, this is just Zippy Reroll, right? It's not a Xayah focused comp. I think you want to prioritize the Zippy. I'm not sure, but I'm just gonna assume so because that's what I remember. So yeah, Zippy, he's an AD bruiser type unit. He kind of just jumps around. He targets like the tankiest thing on the board. But that's not really a problem. He kind of just drain tanks. He's hard to kill because he like kind of drops aggro a lot. Xayah is like a very typical AD carry. She likes like Ginsus and stuff. I'd imagine she's like a Ginsus. So basically she attacks really fast, and then like once she casts, she gains a lot of attack speed from like Ragewing and stuff. And then she pulls back her feathers, and then that does a lot of damage. This Zippy unit, like I'll hover over his ability. Gain a shield, and then deal damage to the highest percent health enemy. He just does like it's just like a lot of stats. Like usually he just out stat checks a lot of other things. He's a dragon, so compared to like the other like 3-cost rerolls, which there's a lot of, Zippy kind of wins those 1v1s. So yeah, that's what makes him good. And yeah, there's Hackgrim's just a traditional tank. He's a CC unit. So he's like the Jarvan. He's the Sejuani. He just does like a lines, and that's AoE CC. So I'm pretty sure for this comp you're rolling on 8. Right? Okay, so this is 9 units. But the Zippy 3 is important. In other news, Twitch, what makes him important? One, he's really good with Xayah, but also he sunders, so you want to put them close to each other. Bard is a CC unit, so he's a backliner. You want to have like this, like you just want him to cast as much as possible, and he's just gonna stun in a large AoE, and he's going to increase the damage that the units take. So Bard is very strong. Zippy just wants like these types of items, and that's your main focus. Next we have Diana. So this is skill scoring comp. So in this Diana version, because there's different versions, the most popular one was Olaf, but I guess right now this Diana one seems to be doing better. So what scale scoring is, it's supposed to be the anti-dragon trait, kind of. So scale scorings, they take reduced damage from like units with like a certain amount of health, and then they just get bonus magic damage. So like this isn't damage amp, so this is like she multiplies well with like pretty much any type of damage. And then yeah, Olaf in this case. So Dan is an assassin. Olaf is like a warrior bruiser. So in this Diana comp, we're just adding more assassins as opposed to like the warriors. Yeah, this is like a similar comp, but this isn't Skelecorn. It's like, what are the assassins like this? So because this is traditional assassin, at the start of combat, these units are going to jump to backline. So that's kind of the main appeal. In the current ecosystem of TFT, this is just not very balanced. We had the Assassinate power-up, which didn't even give any stats, I don't think. Or I think it maybe reduced the amount of damage they did just to have this effect. But they have that anyway, and they have like the same bonuses that like the trait actually gives them a lot of like stats too. They gain crit chance and crit damage. So much executioners now. So yeah, this trait is very overtuned in modern TFT, so that's kind of why this version is played. Diana, what her ability does, like she gets a shield, and she gets like the orbs that she gets in the league, and basically like those are the source of damage. Yeah, I guess she gets the shield twice, so she can be pretty tanky. But yeah, she's just traditional assassin. You build her like cats. She needs AP, she needs healing, and then Edge and Night seems to be good. But you can go like probably like Nashers or she's gonna have mana lock probably because of the shield. So maybe Nashers isn't that important, but yeah, just damage, healing, +1 is the main thing. Another assassin, we have Rengar. Though this is like, I mean, Rengar hasn't been in that many sets, but he's kind of like the same unit that he always is. He just jumps to like the lowest thing, and he like is a burst champion. So his trait is Darkflight. With 2 Darkflight, I don't really know if this is even that like relevant, because this existed during a time where we had a lot of support items. So there was a lot of like redemption spam. There was Zeke's, Chalice, all these like items that you would use for their utility. But right now, Darkflight, what it does, you sacrifice one of your units to create a copy of that unit, or of the trait of the item that they have, onto like all the Darkflights. So with only 2 Darkflights, I don't even think that you would use this. But if you were to play more Darkflight, you could like, let's say if you wanted to duplicate like Infinity Edges, you could place a unit with an Infinity Edge on the Hex, and then it would give it to all Darklights. So that's pretty good. But yeah, Diana wants these items, and then Rengar the same thing, just AD, and that's pretty much the whole comp, right? Yeah, and then Nilah is a 4 cost. She's like she gets the leftovers. What Nilah does, she just dashes and then she like resets if she gets the kill. Low mana cost. She just spams her ability, and then that's it. I don't really remember that much about Nilah, but I just assume she gets extra item. Another thing you can do if you got an assassin spats is to put it on Olaf. I remember that was really good. How do you make? You can't make it, but you can get it from Artifact, I guess, or from Augment. But yeah, that allows you to put items onto Olaf, and that is pretty good. I think other notes. Okay, so Qiyana. What makes her really annoying is that her cast it disarms. So you basically want to put you want her to target. So she's gonna jump to backline at the start of combat, and you want her to target the main carries because she's going to disrupt their ability to cast. So like these, okay, Diana just wants to kill them. Nilah just wants to kill them. Rengar, it's okay if he misses because he'll jump to them anyway. Qiyana doesn't do that much damage. I mean, she can do enough, but her main thing is she's a disruptor. So yeah, and this is just the traditional 3-cost reroll. Next we have Bruiser reroll. I think. I mean, this is just Syfen, right? But this is like pure Syfen. I don't remember much about this comp, but this looks like the pure Syfen one. I'm surprised it's doing better. I mean, it's like the same, but this is like the one I'm more familiar with. That's one of the more people played back in the day. Oh, okay, 6 Bruiser. Okay, this is all the Bruisers. Oh, I see. Do any of them have like health scaling? Like, why do they care about Bruiser? Yeah, Bruiser, literally the same as it always is. It just gives health, but in this trait you have a lot of. I mean, not a lot. You have these 2 units, and they're both carries. So Syfen is a Bruiser. For Syfen is a carry. He's a burst champion. He charges into like not like backline, but like to the furthest targets, and then he like chomps them, and it does a lot of damage. And then the other thing is that he's a Whisper, which is and what Whisper does, it does 2 things. One, it like shreds and sunders anything that they hit, but then the other effect is that they gain stacks of ADAP anytime that they do damage to a unit that has been affected by their shred sunder. So because of that, the main build for Syfen always is like Ginsu's. Like any Whisper comp usually has like Whisper or Ginsu because they want to attack as much as possible to get like a bunch of like ramping AD and AP. The build is just Ginsu's healing and then IE like burst. I imagine you could do something like this, or it's just +1. And then Olaf is the same. He's just like he's just a stat stick. He gets like whatever. The main carry is gonna be Syfen. Your main tank is Silas. Silas just is tanky. That's really all there is to it. So Syfen charges within 2.5 hexes. I don't know what that means in terms of where you position him in order for him to target the main carry. Like, I think he's just same side, like this, and you just want to make sure that there's a tank next to him. None of these other units like they go backline, so I don't really know how this comp is like working out so well. But yeah, just 2.5 isn't really enough to guarantee a certain positioning. It's almost always gonna jump at the front line, but that might be okay. Like they might just be tanky enough. So now we have Syfen, which is similar to the previous comp, except this is like a duo dragon carry comp. The main thing for this is that there's like a lot of overlap between these traits. So you can like even with a few units, you can make things fit. But the point is you get Syfen and COU, both of them they just are really strong and they fit together. So Syfen wants like their specific itemization. COU, which is like another bruiser type, like AD bruiser type units. They just want like whatever. But those of these are supporting. So okay, Jade, what it does is you get like a statue. It's kind of like disco. You put the statue nearby units, and it's like it heals whatever's around it, and it gives attack speed. And then Pantheon's a Whisper, but I didn't go over what he does. Your main tank is Pantheon, right? So yeah, he gains durability, and then like it's like his E from League. He just like blocks damage, and then he doesn't actually block damage. He just does damage, I guess. He just gets whatever leftover tank items. The whole focus is these two dragons. They kind of just tag team, and yeah, that's all that is. And then okay, I guess the last interesting in it is Soraka. So what she does, one, she can restore tactician health, but like what she actually does, like she is a pure support unit. What she like in combat, what she does is she heals. She just heals allies. So she calls down a shower of stars, and it just heals allies. But she's very good. Next we have Seraphine Graves. So this is a pretty popular comp that came up once people realized that okay, so this whole thing revolves around Seraphine. What she does, she shields her allies, but also she gives them on-hit attack damage, like that scales with her repeat. What is significant about this is that certain units have interactions with this, and they can proc it multiple times, such as Graves. So what Graves does, his bullets, like his attacks fire 4 bullets, and with Seraphine, each of those bullets can proc the Seraphine on hit, which means he gets 4 times the Seraphine on hit damage, which makes him do a lot more damage. So yeah, that's the core of this. And then the rest of the units are just supporting traits. So you get Mystican, you get Zeri as a duo carry. So like you reroll Zeri and Seraphine, but Seraphine is like the important one. A lot of the time Zeri isn't that important. She just gets whatever leftover items. Like Graves is the duo carry. Graves is the important one, and the rest just connecting traits. So yeah, Lagoon. This is a unique trait because kind of like a combination of like a lot of things, or in terms of what it does. So this is a resource trait where each time Lagoons cast, they can generate loot. It's similar to like a Conqueror or something, where like there's like these like checkpoints, and then once you reach a checkpoint, you get the loot. But these stacks are gained when they cast, so you can get a bit of extra resources, but it's nothing too crazy. The other bonus is they get stats, but they don't get a lot of stats. So like it's not like like most of the power is in the loot. This is like a resource trait. So for items, something that's really good on Seraphine is anti-heal, because her on hits up like works on everyone, and then everyone has the ability to spread her Morello. So yeah, and then she scales well with AP, and then some kind of casting item. Like it doesn't really matter which. It's just some like sorts of raw AP, because I would imagine damage amp also works. So something like Giant Slayer could probably be fine too. Maybe. I'm not sure if this on hit damage scales like with like I assume like if she has damage amp, it works the same. So I assume she just wants anti-heal plus some damage item of any kind plus some mana item of any kind. Any of those are fine, and then some mana item. And then Graves, like I said, he fires 4 bullets, he attacks. His active, he just attacks twice and he gains some resist. He just goes around. I don't know, like I gotta explain it. He does a lot of damage. He's like, this Graves unit is really strong. You build him like a normal bruiser. I don't think there's anything like tech crazy, right? No, you just, I don't. It says Ginsu's. I don't know if Ginsu's is really what you go here, but you want some kind of damage, and you want some kind of like you have to keep in mind that you have this Seraphine on hit, so like you don't need that much damage, but I mean you can. I don't really remember there being a Ginsu's thing. I remember there's a Whispers tech with Graves, because each of his bullets proc Whispers. So if you get a Whisper spat, which how do you craft? Spats plus belt. Yeah, if you get that, I know that one's pretty good. I know that Warrior was also okay, right? What does Warrior do? Yeah, 50% chance to increase their... Yeah, like, the Warrior is pretty good tier 2. But, okay, his trait is Cannoneer. So what Cannoneer does, it's the same as it is a lot of sets. Like, Cannoneer, Artillerist, these are usually the same. Where you get the extra burst damage after a certain number of attacks. So in this set, it's 5, and yeah. And it's like an AoE explosion. But yeah, so Seraphine's ability is 2 hexes. So you want to clump them kind of like together and hit everything. I don't know what this is all like duplicating and stuff. You can put Seraphine in the second row, but it's a little risky because there's like, if you look at the meta comps, there's like a lot of Diana, Zippy, SOY Syfen, like, so you have to be very careful because she's very vulnerable to all of them. But if she doesn't die immediately, Graves can usually deal with them really quickly. So yeah, that's the main thing. Next we have Tempest Nilah, which is honestly one that I have not heard of. I don't know if this was a thing back then, but yeah. What I imagine the theory is okay, so Tempest is it's like Dragon Lord such thing. It's basically an AoE stun after a certain amount of time. It does like 2 damage and stuff, and then it gives stats. So you get and it does a lot of damage, I guess. Oh, another thing that I didn't say that I think is not being represented here is that dragons, they give +3 to their main traits. Yeah, so it says 5 Tempest here, but we actually have 8 activated because Aushin counts for 3. So yeah, with 8 Tempest, it does a lot of damage, and they get damage amp after the thing procs. But this is just a straight up burst comp. So basically, they're using the Tempest proc to get everyone low, and then Nilah just cleans up and resets. That's the main thing. So even though she doesn't get the damage amp, she's abusing Assassin. She's just abusing 2 broken traits. And then yeah, she'll just one shot everything. But yeah, she's an assassin, and then yeah, your dual carries Graves. So I talked about it's the same kind of thing. He's just a bruiser. He's not an assassin, but he also wants like similar kinds of items, and he's just gonna go and like abuse the fact that everyone's gonna lose like all their health, and you have some more assassins that you can put items on if you want. But the other interesting unit in this board is Aushin. What he does, he takes a really long time to cast, but then he starts like raining bolts, and it's one of those like board wipe types of abilities where like once he casts, he'll kill most things. So you want him to cast as soon as possible, and then you want him to have like usually this kind of thing is like a pretty good combo, and then you add like one last like thing here. A lot of the time, fights will end before he casts, so you have to be mindful of that. And that's kind of one of the flaws of the units. But I mean, if he casts, he's very strong. Especially he's almost guaranteed to cast after the Tempest proc. If you have too much mana regen, he might cast too early, and in which case you're missing out on what was it, 90% damage amp. Yeah, so but you definitely want him to cast as soon as possible because otherwise he just might not cast. Okay, next we have Scale Scorn, but like this is like the more this is like the warrior. Oh, this is the Olaf like centric one, which I guess has worse stats than the Diana one. So as I said, Scale Scorn, it is the kind of the anti-dragon trait. It just gives bonus magic damage, and then this time we're playing around Warrior, which is Olaf's other trait, and what it does is gives you a chance to do bonus damage, but it's like it's only a chance. So I think at some point there was a part of Scale Scorn where it's like you weren't allowed to have dragons, but they might have removed that for 7.5. So yeah, that's just something I remember. But yeah, your main thing is these two. Olaf has a passive where every time he dies, he gains AD. Not a lot, but it's just something to be mindful of. So I mean, I'm looking at his build here. He wants healing, he wants damage, and then yeah. But I think you want like a multiplier more than you want something that gives raw AD. Does he need CC immunity? Maybe. I'm like it might be something like this. And then Diana, no assassins here. She's gonna do a lot less damage. You're probably gonna want JG, but otherwise it's like the same kind of thing. Or you're like if you do the effective calculation, it still turns out to be a lot. It's like at 4, it's still effectively 75% increased damage, assuming that the damage of the unit is tied to their auto attacks, which I think most of these are. Okay, not Pantheon and not Yasuo, but Yone and Olaf, all their damage is auto attack damage. So this is just effectively 75% damage increase, which is very, very good. And yeah, if you get going and if you get a lot of stacks, he does a lot of damage. Now we have the stuff listed as A tier. So the Guild Zippy, I guess this is different than the previous one. I guess this, like, what's the difference between this? This one you stay lower level, and then this one this one you just hit the Xayah, and the other one you don't? Or is this one supposed to be a Xayah comp? I mean, based on the fact that you go 9, it seems like it's a Xayah comp. But like, the Zippy is really important here. Maybe like Jayce is the focus. I'm pretty sure it's a Zippy comp though. But this is the pure Zippy comp. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. This one has like a Cavalier frontline. I don't know. I'm not gonna think about it too much. So Jade vertical. It's just all the Jade units. We talked about what Jade does. You get more statues, but yeah, basically these statues are going to give healing and they're going to give attack speed, and it ends up being a lot. I imagine you only play this with an emblem though. So we have a Shimmerscale Graves. There's another one I'm unfamiliar with, but it has a decent pick rate, so I guess people, it's like it's a thing. I mean, this might be the successor to like Idis Corki. That's probably what this is. This is like the Cannoneer comp, maybe? No, this is just pure Shimmerscale. But yeah, Shimmerscale, it's a very notorious trait. It's a lot of fun. One of the more interesting resource traits. This set had a lot of resource traits. It had Astral, it had Lagoon, and it had Shimmerscale. And at one point, the meta was very terrible, where you could not play the game if you're not playing one of these traits. And actually, that was most of the set, so that's kind of why I didn't like the set. But yeah, okay. So Idis is okay. Let's talk about Shimmerscale first. So Shimmerscale, it is a resource generating trait. You get items that have effects that usually will give you some kind of gold. So yeah, so like you have all these. So you have Dragon's Axe. What this does, it gives you AD based on the amount of gold you have, and then after 100 attacks, you gain a big cash out. You have Diamond Hands, which you get after Determined Investor. The Determined Investor, after 8 times dying, you get Diamond Hands. And then Diamond Hands, it gives you like temporary invulnerability. It's a very, very strong item. Especially if you solo frontline, you basically just get a guaranteed extra like 1.5 seconds. And like everything's attacking it. Like it's not an aggro drop, is the main thing. Like it's gold. We have Gambler's Blade, which is mostly the same. We have Goldmancers, which is mostly the same, but if you don't remember what this is, it gives you AP for the amount of gold you have, and then on kill, you have a chance to drop gold. You have like this orb, the needlessly big gem. It's like Ascension kind of, like after 15 seconds you gain damage gem for your team and you get some gold. I think some of the new ones are like this one, Orb of Greed, I've never seen before. But what Orb of Greed does is it turns Shimmerscale into a lost streak trait. So yeah, I don't remember this, so this might be new. Losing combat stores gold when to cash out. Yeah, so basically this is a lost streak trait. At like every game, you'll get like it'll tell you what items you get, and you can decide what you play based on what the items are. So obviously for an AD comp, Dragon's Axe is good. I assume if you have like a spots for like these items, you put them. Okay, so we talked about what Graves is. I guess it's because he has good interactions. He probably just stacks these like multiple times. So I'd imagine like he can proc Gamblers 4 times at like, and then he counts as 4 autos. I think that's the tech. As for the other units, Idis is a tank, like a pure tank. Doesn't do like anything besides tank, but they're really tanky. They reduce damage, they heal, and they grant the shield. Like they just do a lot. And that shield grants attack speed while it holds. Other interesting units are Zoe. She's a 5 cost. She gets random spells. So she has like, I think she has 4 spells. I think she can like summon a Daisy. She can Lux Laser. She can summon tornadoes, and she can do like one other thing. But yeah, but otherwise she's a traditional AP carry. Like regardless what abilities she gets, she'll just cycle through another one, and like yeah, she's a carry, and she's good. But the way this comp works is that you're gonna get a lot of gold from these items, and you want to use that to hit or like early. And this is another Tempest comp, but this one's just played around Lee Sin. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. You're abusing. I mean, this is like less broken traits, but I mean here we have. Okay, so the explanation I have for this one, because I remember kind of Lee Sin carry. So he would drain tank. He just does a lot of damage. So I'm pretty sure like do they solo frontline him here? But yeah, you have Dragonmancer, and Dragonmancer is notorious for its design because of what it did to some units. Lee Sin was one of the offenders, but he wasn't like one of the worst ones. Like a lot of people think of Dragonmancer Nunu, which honestly very overrated in terms of like the actual meta impact. Even though it did have some funny moments, like being able to beat a 3-star 5 cost. However, most games were not like that. Dragonmancer Karma was probably the more problematic one because it was actually consistent. And then, but like after those, we have Lee Sin and Volibear, which were lesser offenders. But yeah, this guy, he just does AoE damage, and that's it. So he drain tanks. He gets a lot of free damage. Like he gets AP from his trait, so you just want him to have like multipliers plus healing. He also stuns. But yeah, it works similarly to the Nilah version, but I guess the Nilah one has better stats. And this also requires you to hit Lee Sin 3, and I think it's easier to hit Nilah too. Okay, the next one is Dragon. So this is the Daeja version. But I can talk about Mirage and I can talk about Dragon as a whole. So what Dragon is as a bonus, it has some unique effects. So yeah, the first few ranks aren't that impactful, but the noteworthy thing is that at 4 Dragon you get +1 team size, which is worth making a comp around. And if you get some kind of like, if you get a really good setup for 6 Dragon, like you need an augment, I'm pretty sure for it, but if you get that, that's also like a easy win con. At least back in the day, this one seems super nerfed. But okay, so this version is just 3 Dragon, which and I never played Mirage. I'm surprised they don't play the 4th Dragon here. But this is a Fast 9 comp. Okay, so what Daeja does, probably one of the cooler units in the set. What she does, fires 3 bolts every attack, and then when they cast, they fire a large wave. These attacks have a lot of interactions with like stuff like Whisper, stuff like Rebel. I mean, Rebel isn't in this, isn't in 7.5, but I mean that was a thing. Daeja has a lot of weird interactions. The other noteworthy thing is that Daeja is a Mirage, which is it's a changing trait. Every game, Mirage is gonna be 1 out of 8 or 6 or however many versions. 7, my bad. So there's 7 different Mirages, and how you play the traits varies. Usually you can play Daeja out of all of them, I think, but how you build them is different. So like, you basically want to build around the things that you're not getting from the Mirage trait. So for instance, we have Dawnbringer's Determination, the first one, which is a healing trait. They heal after they drop below a certain amount. So with this, you don't want to build healing, you just want to build more damage. So your build is going to be something like this, and you like flex like an extra damage item. So the core Daeja build is this, but you compensate with what you're getting from your trait. So here you can just go more damage. Duelist is dexterity, it gives you attack speed, and it gives you, compared to like the current Duelist, this gives you a lot of attack speed. But basically you drop Gitsus and yeah, you build something like this. Electrical Overload is like the one where you don't really play the, I mean you build Daeja the same, but this is like the one where you don't really play Daeja. You would play a different Mirage comp. Executioners, this is a weird one because you don't really need crits. Like you don't need to like think about the crits parts. So you can just build Daeja like normally. And then Pirate's Greed, it just gives you gold, which is like another multiple but you just build Daeja like normally. Spell Sword, you get AP every attack. So you don't build AP and you're just looking for multipliers. And then Warlords, it gives you AP. So again, same thing. You don't build AP, you build multipliers and attack speed and stuff. But yeah, this version, okay, so what I'm familiar with is just the regular 6 Mirage, but I guess that's not where you're going here. So the ones that I've seen is normally like with Itis, and you use Shimmerscale. This is what I'm familiar with, but I guess there's a version where you play. I mean, so these are like the 2 like flex things. So Terra is a dragon tank. You flex units, doesn't have like a main trait, so you can kind of put them in any comp. So yeah. And then I talked about Shyvana. And then Tempest Graves, we were talking about. Warrior Yone, you can only play from Duelist. Yeah. This was really broken back when you could have access to like range extension. I don't know, but I remember you needed some kind of like range extension. And I forgot what the condition was, because wasn't rapid fire in the game at this point? But yeah, so we kind of briefly talked about Yone, but he alternates between his attacks. So he just is a DPS machine. I guess you can just build it normally, and he's just not going to be ranged. The stats aren't terrible on it. But Warrior, like we said, it does a lot of damage, and is a really good multiplier on units that are pure auto attackers, and Yone is a pure auto attacker. I don't know. Okay, this doesn't interact with the unhit damage though. So whereas Olaf just getting to AD, so they're getting like max benefit. Yone's like the extra damage doesn't really matter. Like it's just for the base AD. But yeah, you have trait bots. I would imagine it's better to play around, like considering the other stats for Olaf. I'm pretty sure your main priority is just to play around Olaf rather than Yone. But if you have specifically like duelist, I don't think any of the other ones are like that relevant for Yone. Maybe executioners. I don't think the AP matters that much. Like it's not bad, but it's not that significant. And then Mirage, this is like what I was saying, similar. This is what you so this is what you play if you get Electric Overload. You play this Mirage board. So Electric Overload, it's a tank one. You do damage when you get hit. So basically you want the board to be as tanky as possible. And Leona is like pretty tanky. It's the generic Leona ability where she reduces damage, but that just scales really well. And it's just 6 Mirage plus more Guardian, which is almost the same as Protector in the current set. Like they ended up reworking Protector into this version of Guardian. This is your main comp. Daeja gets leftover items. Yasuo gets leftover items. Yasuo is an interesting unit. He does a decent amount of damage. He's a Dragonmancer Warrior Mirage. His unique thing is that every third cast he gets a bigger cast, and then if there's only one enemy left, he like insta kills them like when he casts. Cavalier Nunu / Daeja. Yeah, this is the Nunu comp. This is like the normal Nunu comp. It's dependent on which Mirage you get. It's mostly good on Warlords and Dawnbringers, I'd imagine. Maybe it's okay with like Electric, but like probably not. Maybe it's okay with Executioners as well. But the main thing is this Nunu unit. So, and if you've heard of Dragonmancer Nunu, then you might know this unit's kind of crazy. But what this does, this is a tank. It has a single dark nuke, and then that's it. Like nothing about this. Like even though it's classified as a tank for some reason, this guy is not. He's a damage dealer. So the main thing is Cavalier, which what Cavalier is, they get resistances, but then they charge. And this is, I don't know, this is one of my favorite traits of all time. It's just a very cool trait. So Nunu, I mean, okay, it says build Nunu pure tank, which I don't know if you need to do. Also, this is Cavalier Daeja, but it doesn't even show a Daeja. Yeah, this is another Daeja variant, but you play around Nunu. And we have Dragon. Okay, so this is the. It still only shows 3 dragon, but like all these boards, you usually play with 4 dragon. Something like this. Or Terra gets your tank items, but Terra is also a good user of like this. Like Terra does a lot of damage, so they can heal. And then Shyvana's like a bruiser. This is a fast 9 comp. This is what you would go if you were like super rich. If you were like playing around Shimmerscale or something, you want to pivot into something. So at 4 dragon, you get +1 team size. So you put all the dragons in, and then you, like the moment you have this trait activated, you get +1 to your board. So you might have to like take out and put units in. You have to put the dragons in first to get the extra space to fit everything. But yeah, this is technically 10 slots. And if you have the means to play for 6 dragon, you should. And then obviously you drop these guys for like another dragon of some kind. Okay, so the main core is like what I showed. You have this Mystic and this. For your other options, you have Ocean and Asol. I personally think Asol is better because I've been screwed by Ocean not casting too many times. Whereas this Asol unit's just really good. You can kind of just play either. The one that you hit is probably better, but yeah, you're just picking between one of these two. Ragewing Sett. So Sett is a 1 cost. He's kind of interesting. He has the 1-2 punch system. He kind of can like stat check a lot of stuff, but he falls off pretty easily. But yeah, he's an interesting Dragonmancer unit. The other thing is Ragewing, which I haven't really talked about. So Ragewing introduces an interesting mechanic for these units, which basically when they cast, they get these bonus stats. They get like a bonus attack speed. The main thing is that they don't get damage, they don't get mana from taking damage, which was a thing back then. Right now, that's just how it works in TFT, where because of the roles revamp system, backliners don't get mana from taking damage. But that was something that was unique to Ragewing before. And yeah, your main carry, Sett here. Senna's a random dual carry. Senna doesn't really do anything interesting. She throws her W, it just does AoE damage. It's good like supporting damage, but like it's nothing anything crazy. Sett, you give him the Dragonmancer bonus, so you give him a lot of stats. He's just like a AP bruiser, not even. He's AD. His damage is auto attack based, so you like attack speed. So this build works out, and he gets healing from this, but he also gets healing from this. The AP, it gives him more resist. It makes him harder to deal with. But yeah, nothing too crazy, but its stats aren't terrible. So let's talk about Mage. It's the same as it is normally, where you get the double cast and it's reduced. So in this version, this is just Mage. But they killed the cool Mage one because, the cool Mage comp was in 7 point, just at 7 with Rise. Then there's also a Nami version, but they got rid of both of those units. And while Nami probably deserved it, I don't think Rise did. But yeah, okay, so the core of this board looks to be... Oh, this just the not Sohm version is better than the Sohm version? I don't know. Okay, so this is a reroll of some kind. I'd imagine this is just Lux. So, Mage, get modified AP. As 5, you just have more. This is just a massive multiplier. I don't know, Mage is a weird trait where, like, you get so much more damage than, like, people really take into account. But yeah, okay. Lux, what she does, she targets the furthest. It collides with the first enemy hit and it does AoE damage. So the ideal positioning for Lux is usually like in the center, because she'll pick her targets, and then once she's able to hit them, she can kind of target first. If you put her in the corner, she's always gonna hit through the middle, which means she's always gonna get stuck on a tank. But if you put her center, she'll target these side units, which is usually not the main tank. But yeah, the other interesting thing is the Evoker here. Because these are double casting, they get extra mana, and I guess they activate traits, so you can fit them in. But Lux is a traditional mage. You can give her like something like this. And Sass is just a traditional tank. I guess the other thing to talk about is Astral. Astral is a reroll trait. Basically, you get loot. I guess they had to rework this trait multiple times. So there's no more Astral shops. But yeah, in this version you just get loot and you get a little bit of AP. That's it. So the not reroll version, I guess it's some combination of like, okay, this is just max mage. Yeah, this is just max mage Sohm. Sohm is a backline damage dealer. Lagoon, so you get the actual Lagoon. It's kind of hard to describe what they do. Yeah, they each time they cast, they target an enemy that they haven't previously hit, and then on the third cast, they detonate those. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. The items you want to look for: some mana, some damage, plus some damage ramp. And then, of course, Sash just gets normal tank items. And then Zoe's dual carry. Next we have Dragonmancer Lee Sin, which is similar to the Tempest version, except you're just playing vertical Dragonmancer. This version seems to be worse, so yeah, you might want to just stick to the Tempest version. Seems to have much better stats. Next we have Lillia Reroll. So this is Cavalier, Scale Score, and Lillia. This was a pretty fun comp that I made. Where is all this stuff? It's just all the Cavaliers plus Scale Scorn. But essentially, it's just a burst comp. It uses both Cavalier and Scale Scorn. Because Cavalier has this bit of burst damage, and Scale Scorn is just a good trait. So you put it together, and you're playing around Lillia, and then your dual carry is like Diana usually. For your items, you want healing plus some kind of AP. Like you kind of need like actual AP, and then what they have that. Yeah, that's fine too. But yeah, this is just a burst comp. Astral Lux, which is similar to the other mage board, except this is you go more astral. you get more loot because you have more Astral, and then you can play around ASOL. Okay, ASOL is an interesting units because the black hole, like the way it works, it's just really with Mage. I think they have to rework ASOL, right? Yeah, no. Okay, so Mage ASOL is like I think no longer anything interesting, but it's still pretty good. Swiftshot Reroll. You play Guardian as Ezreal, and you just reroll. It's a low cost reroll. It's a one cost reroll. So Ezreal, Leona, like all these like low costs. I'm just looking for all the Guardians and all the Swift shots. Yeah. Ezreal, he just fires a bolt and he gains ramping attack speed. That's it. I'd imagine his best build looks something like this. Because he has like the Jinx effects where he has scaling attack speed that scales with AP. So if he gets AP, you're increasing his damage, but you're also increasing the amount of attack speed he gets. And then attack speed scales with Shojin. So kind of like Gathering Force Jinx, where the Shojin scales your ramping damage. It works the same way here. So you can have, by having an Archangel, you have double ramping because you're ramping AP and you're ramping attack speed. So then Shojin works well, and then +1, you can maybe do Gunblade. Idas Daeja, I talked about, but it seems to be the worst version, according to stats. Darkflight Swain. So yeah, like I said, Darkflight has been pretty much killed, I think, in this revival. The one other thing to talk about, Darkflight, I mean, I'll talk about the units, but when you sacrifice an emblem or a not craftable item, they become this Darkflight essence. And what this is a where can I find it? But basically it's like Dark Star, where like each time a unit with the item dies, they give it to, like, they give stats to all remaining like units that have it. So because you're duplicating this item, basically they get the Dark Star buff. I don't remember what stats it is. I think it gives like a bit of everything. I think it was like health, AD, AP, armor, magic resist, something like that. But yeah. So this comp is just vertical Darkflights. You play around Rengar because Rengar is the strongest unit, and then you have Assassins, so this is max Darkflight plus Assassin. We talked about Rengar and all those units. Aphelios, he just is a CC unit. I mean, he can do good damage, but like because we don't have Zeke's spam anymore, this unit's not very good, I would imagine. But yeah, he does AoE, and he's a good CC bot. He's a good holder of like Blast Whisper. And then okay, this is the Darkflight essence. When the holder dies, they grant this stats to every Darkflight unit. Swain is an interesting unit because at some point in their design, they were supposed to be both a tank and a damage dealer, and they can kind of do both. This Swain does a lot of damage, but it's still mostly a tank. There are some builds where you can build them as a damage dealer. You can build them like this, but I don't know the setup for that, and I don't know if that would work in the current balance state. Realistically, you're just looking for this. AP is pretty important because he does do a lot of damage. And yeah, so if you look at the effect, it's 8 of these, so it's 8 times 90, 130. And then each time for each one, you also restore 12% missing health, which is a lot, which is why you want the Warmongs. And then yeah. So okay, the other thing is like the main tech with Darkflight, when you get like you want to get an emblem that you can sacrifice, like you need a +1 for, but like that's it. You get +1s for the traits, but then you get the Darkflight's essence item. So normally it was like Cavalier, or I think it was Cavalier, right? I don't know. It was something. But basically, you get it to activate some traits. Maybe they reworked Cavalier, because I think I remember Cavalier being like a supportive trait, and I think that's why I liked it. And they might have changed that at some point. I don't remember. Okay, this I don't remember. This might be a hero augment thing. I don't remember. Like, I mean, this set existed before hero augments, but I think Riot has added some hero augments to the revival. I don't remember this being a thing. I remember people trying to make like Nasus carry work, but I don't think this was that good. This might be hero augment. Okay, Nomsy. Okay, what Nomsy does is they change between. Okay, so they have Prodigy, and then Prodigy changes between like every game between one of 3 or 2. Yeah, Timer, Trist, Lulu. So you'll randomly get one of these. And yeah, so Lulu's an evoker, Heimer's a mage, and Tristana's a cannoneer. So yeah, and you can't put items on these, but you like in some cases you can use it to get traits that you otherwise wouldn't. So Evoker is one of the harder ones. I mean, Lulu's also probably the best unit, but alright. So Tristana just does damage and it explodes. Heimer does an AOE like grenade toss and it does like CC, and then Lulu, she is just kind of broken. She buffs her allies or enemies, and she either stuns them or she gives attack speed. But the other thing is that Evoker is a trait that's hard to come by, so you can actually use this to get to 4 Evoker for free. So Nomsy and Magic Caps, they just fire a lob, it does damage, and it explodes into mini explosions. And yet, generic item build, the same general thing, and then tank items. And yeah, and you only play it when Nomsy is like when you have the Lulu. Shimmerscale, okay, Volibear. When this is just vertical Shimmerscale, but Volibear is a 3-cost. The best times for Volibear was in set 7 when Legend was a trait, but that was removed. So yeah, this guy, he just gets max health, and then every third attack he gets like chain lightning. Cannoneer Graves. This seems to be the worst version of Graves. Unfortunate. Yone, Daeja, another Volibear. This is Kaisa, but I guess Kaisa just seems to be really bad. So Kaisa, she gets she casts, and then every time she casts, she gets more missiles, up to 12. And yeah, what's interesting about this comp is that you have both Shimmerscale and Lagoon, so you would get rapid resources. So like the main things that you'd hit really early. So yeah, this looks like it has a high win rate, and I guess it's just based on how early you hit. This is just vertical Shimmerscale. This is okay. Xayah is like a kind of a normal Shimmerscale units to play here. Vertical Lagoon, allegedly terrible. The problem is that these units don't work well together. So yeah, even though all the units are like fine, the trait itself is like pretty undertuned, I think. Yeah, it could use a little bit more stats. Yeah, no, just all around. Because in retrospect, it doesn't give that much loot, and the stats are very low. I don't know if they were that low before, but Ragewing Xayah, which is just the worst version. Oh well, this one just doesn't have Shyvana on the board. And then Dragonmancer Nunu, it's good if you have the dragon. If you need the Dragonmancer emblem. It improves the placement by 0.02. Okay, maybe it's just bad. Maybe they nerfed it too much. I mean, the other thing is that you need healing. Yeah, this guy might go come back. Wait, what's the difference between the Xayah comps? Because wasn't there a Xayah Shyvana board, but this isn't. Okay, let's just look at vertical Ragewing. So yeah, this is 8 Ragewing. What else do you play? Oh, you can fit all these guilds like really easily. That's a lot of slots that you don't have. Okay, yeah, this is probably. I don't see why this version's that bad. Or maybe it's because they don't have the. Yeah, like I assume if you have the Shyvana, this version's like not bad. But this is a cool comp too. But I hope that it's like is a rough overview of what you're gonna see. There might be comps that aren't being played here, but like I feel like people are familiar enough with the set that there's not gonna be too many surprises. Maybe stuff will change with like balance updates, but like you could just look at the stats on whatever sites and people will make guides and stuff. But like it's all from here anyway. Thank everyone for watching.